Hey y'all, and welcome back to another Facebook Live with Pastor Anna. Today I have something on my mind which is probably a verse that's familiar to you. It's Galatians chapter 5 and verse 22, and it says, "By contrast, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. There is no law against such things." Probably some of you, like me, had that on a t-shirt at one time. Maybe even had other friends with that t-shirt. Perhaps you had it on a bookmark or things like that. It's a pretty popular verse. And I think that in this time, we need to remember some of the key components of that verse as things that will help us through this moment in time. Here in our state, there is so much COVID increasing throughout our state that even now, counties are shutting down and people are becoming alarmed at what is happening. So much so that just yesterday someone said, "Wow, I didn't think that was going to happen, and I'm just really surprised at how that's just coming about in such a way." Aren't you surprised, Pastor? To which I could only respond, no, absolutely not. I'm not at all surprised. And I have consistently been promoting a message that is both consistent with science and with our theology. And the message is this. On the science aspect, I've said, and you can check this, go back through the Facebook Lives, I've said consistently since this all began that it will take a while, and we're not out of the woods until one of two things happens. One, we get an effective vaccine that's available for enough people that we, in effect, have immunity of the collective through the vaccine itself. And the other way is that we would have enough people to get it that the herd immunity would give us protection. And even in that, the herd immunity would have to happen fast enough for the immunity to be faster than the virus's ability to mutate. The other thing that I have said and leaned into are what are the gifts of this time? How can we have patience in this time? How can we have generosity in this time? How can we have faithfulness in this time? How can we exercise self-control by putting on masks and taking the precautions and continuing to do so even when things start to sort of open up? I have consistently came forward with this message, and it's the main reason that we are not opening the sanctuary in the building and are trying to grow into a house church model, online church model, and all these other ways to do ministry, because God's creative spirit is able to do things bigger and better than we ask or imagine, insofar as we're able to open up to that creative energy flowing through us. But when we hold on to what we want, what we think, what we have to have, and we have to have it now, then we're into self-centeredness. And that is not generous. It's not loving. It's not joyful. It's not kind. We don't exercise self-control in that. We want our things our way. We walk around without masks all the time, but we don't care what that does to other people. Those things are not fruit of the Spirit. Those things are our impatience. Those things are our stuff coming out into a hurting world. We need it, and we need it now. And truthfully, our culture has procreated this. I'm not blaming it entirely on the culture. We have to take responsibility for our own actions. But a lot of it is that in this time in America, we're used to having things our way when we want it. exactly as we want it. With the advent of companies like Amazon, internet, seeing things on demand, all of those things make us have to reflect in different ways, or lack reflection in different ways, so that we can't have patience. We want it now. And if in fact we don't get it now, then that's oppression. They're taking away our rights. That is not the Christian message. Love your neighbor as you love yourself requires patience. It requires sacrifice. It requires us to think, what is not just good for me, what is good for all God's children? And what kind of a life can I live that will be not only good for me and mine, but good for all of us, so that we can all be healthy and live well. We have seen, I have said it and I'm saying it again consistently, we have seen the things in our systems that are broken. We have seen the things in our country that are broken. From Black Lives Matter to making people go back to work in meatpacking plants with unsanitary conditions. We have seen people that barely make anything close to a living wage now being forced to go back to their jobs because the state's not going to pay any more unemployment. We have seen problems in our country. Oh, but how in our grief we yearn for the balm of being able to just go back to life the way it was. But I believe that God is calling us to something better, that God is imploring us to look at our lives and to say, it's okay that things are changing. I believe in the 60s they would go, the times, they are a-changing. It's okay. And maybe even it's time. It's time for things to change. It's time to think about how our neighbor's life is as valuable as our lives, even if they're a person of color, even if they're a person that doesn't make as much as we think we should, even if they come from a different background, a different religion, a different nationality, all of these different things. Can we say that all are God's children? Can we say that the fruit of the Spirit is being made manifest in our lives every day? Can we say that we love God with all our heart, mind, and soul and strength, and then not say that we love our neighbor as ourselves? I don't need this mask. I don't need to take precautions. I don't need to watch out for other people. That's their problem. Now, there was a reason that Jesus yoked these two concepts, the loving God with all your heart, mind, and soul and strength, and the loving your neighbor as yourself. There was a reason, because God's face is manifest in every single person that you meet. Every single person has a little defined spark of the creative energy of the divine within them. Every single one. And if the church is going to be the church in this season, then we need to really pay attention right now. And instead of walking away from these responsibilities of wearing masks, of social distancing, of doing the right thing for our neighbors and for ourselves, of sacrificing that trip that you wanted to go on and those extra things that you wanted to do, of sacrificing those things for a moment, for a season, so that you and others may live more richly if we can get our mess together and actually start doing things that matter for the least, the last, the lost, and the lonely, and everybody else. I got a little bit of feisty today, but among the people that are asking, was I surprised about what has happened with COVID? Was I surprised that our numbers are going up? Was I surprised that these things... Oh, no. But I was hoping for a surprise that the numbers would go down. I thought they would go up because of the science. And the only thing that could have brought them down was the steadfastness to be patient and kind and generous and loving of our neighbor as ourselves. Y'all, please surprise me. Please surprise me by sacrificing some of the things you want right now to getting everybody that you know to take the precautions, whether the government or the city or the other people say you have to or not. Please surprise me by growing into the beloved community and by doing that with all your heart. Please surprise me by showing me God's love in new and abundant ways that nobody has to tell you to stay 6 feet away, that nobody has to tell you to wear a mask, that nobody has to tell you to watch out for your neighbor, that nobody has to tell you to love somebody of a different color. Surprise me. Surprise me. And do it anyway. Do it because God has loved you. Do it because God wants to love others through you. Do it because you believe. Peace be with you.